God, I do not know how to start this video. I know it has been a while. Alright, I've been gone. No, I haven't. Oh God, my hair looks horrible. Hold on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, that looks more professional. Hold on. Okay, so as I was saying, I have been gone. I know, I guess we have to address it in some way. But like all my problems, I'm just not gonna address it and just move on. Alright, you guys don't have to mourn anymore, guys. I'm here, alright? Don't worry about it. And I'm back with a banger. But you probably read this title and were already thinking, what an interesting name, Appleseed. What is that? Now, before you Google and break this whole video, let me tell you a little bit of a story. I have always had an interesting movie library going on when I was younger. I think I had access to like, I don't even know how much, like 500 movies or something. And they were just open. Like there was no child protection or whatever. I could just watch everything. Which meant that I did, and I also made a lot of mistakes. But there was one saga that always kind of interested me when I was younger, which was Appleseed. And I always saw these epic posters in the screen, and I was like, I have to watch it. But I never did, because it looked very not for my age. Even though I think I watched like every horror movie when I was already like 12, but yeah. But I always kind of wanted to watch it. But now that I'm older, I randomly, I don't know if God blessed me or something, but I found one of the movies just in YouTube. And I'll get into later why it's awesome that these movies are even on YouTube. But I got one in my recommendation, just extremely random. And I thought, well, this is some childhood bliss. Why not check it out? I didn't know what the movies were going to be about. I didn't have any context except for these posters. So I just had to try, I had to take a leap of faith. Well, it's not really a leap of faith. It's not like I was gonna die if I didn't or whatever, or did. But I just wanted to see. I know it's not a very cool backstory, like, I don't know, like my grandma died and all was left was like 3 DVDs. But for me, it was interesting enough to try these movies. And God, am I glad that I did, because holy moly, do I have a video for you guys. Now, before I begin, there's a few things I have to mention. First, let's get the odd one out of the room. I know my new cam is a bit, goofy. This is experimental, alright guys, experimental, so just don't hate me for it if it looks a little bit weird. Alright, just tell me in the comments, because I'm just kind of trying this webcam out. I bought it, I think it looks nice, I like the kind of tracking. But if you guys don't like it, just let me know in the comments and I'll make a decision for the next video. And also, for like that one fan of Appleseed that watches this video, because I haven't heard anyone talk about this saga. I know there are 4 movies. You have one I think of like 1969 or whatever. You have one of 2004, one of 2007, and 2014. I'm only really gonna talk about the last 2 movies because that's kind of my whole point of this video, because those 2 movies are very interesting to me and have a warm place in my heart. But the old movie I couldn't even find, so I could never even try to watch it. And the second movie, which is kind of the first of the then new trilogy, is so boring.
Good guess. Yep, this is reality, all right.
So I'm not even gonna talk about it. You can explain the whole movie in like 10 minutes, alright? So before you go hate me like, oh well, there's more. And yes, there are also comics where the movie are based on. Yep, I don't care. I'm the movie guy. I'm here to talk about the movies, not the whole context stuff, alright? So let's get into it. The year is 2133 and 50% of the world is dead, and this is because some massive nuclear war that happened. But anyway, there is this one beacon of hope, one city called Olympus that is kind of like heaven, but then way more futuristic and realistic, kind of. And it kind of has three types of civilians. You have humans, you have people who have been wounded so much by the war that they have been turned into cyborgs, so kind of enhanced humans. And then you also have bioroids. And bioroids are kind of just in the city as AI, I guess you could say. It's like basically an open world game where you, but then also online, you know, you have like real people in the city, but then you also have a lot of AI. And that's kind of because so many people have died that Olympus, I think it's like 70% of the civilians of Olympus are bioroids. And bioroids are these AI that, just like NPCs in games, don't have any emotion or whatsoever and aren't supposed to feel anger or anything. And that makes them very peaceful, I guess you could say. Now, because like 80% of the world is basically Borderlands or Mad Max, depending on which side you're on, even in Olympus there is a massive police force that has to take control. In this police force is where our two main characters kind of work, Dunin and Briarios. Now, heads up for every other name in the saga. If I pronounce these names wrong, I'm sorry. Even the movies that I've watched, they just changed the name with a character like halfway through the story. I'm not joking. Yeah, you'll see later. But yeah, so if I say the names wrong, it wouldn't even surprise me. Say it in the comments or something. I don't know. Let's not make a blam moment happen again where I get bullied because I say the name wrong. So yeah, so the movie starts with this epic fight scene. And there's this epic like cyborg that is kind of different than the rest that Dunin has to fight, and Dunin wins. And then this cyborg says something that I kind of forgot, but it's something about Halcon. Ooh, mysterious, what the hell?
All will be one. We will all be one. I am Halcon.
Focus, please. Holy shit. Hold on. Let the man cook. There we go. So anyway, so there's this human in some construction site or whatever, and he just starts losing it because he got fired. So he goes into this like robot construction suit and starts fighting everyone, and Dunin comes to the rescue, and there's this epic Akira reference. But then this sexy motherfucker Turius appears and just grooves up, and we realize that something seems off. And this is because Dunin is kind of sad because apparently Briarios is in the hospital because he has some bad injuries. So now Briarios is taken over by Theseus, her new partner. Ooh. Now Theseus looks weirdly super similar to Briarios, which confuses the shit out of Dunin. So Dunin goes to the, I don't know how you call it, like the lab people, I guess, to question why Theseus, this new sexy male, looks kind of insanely a lot like Briarios. And before you think, what, one guy is a robot and the other is human? Well, like I said, if you listened in the opening, what were cyborgs again? Oh yeah, wounded soldiers in the war. And, or well, were wounded because of the war and then became robots slash cyborgs, I guess. And Briarios, before he was wounded in the war, he looked like Theseus. So she's like, what the frick? And we never saw Briarios before. That's why also when you watch the movie, you're like kind of like, huh, what? And then you're like, oh, okay, because flashbacks and whatever. So Dunin asks the lab people, and apparently there's some things going on. Because what actually happened is, you know, I mentioned in the opening that you have these bioroids, right? And they're like stable, not really feeling human-like NPCs. But the government kind of got bored of that. So instead of like basically what every logical person would do and just turn them into sex bots, they enhanced the bioroids so they could fight. And how they did this is by using Briarios' DNA. And this is why almost every fighting bioroid is, well, is basically Briarios, looks like Briarios, because it is Briarios, but then bioroid-like, so they're more, you know, computer-like. Now, Dunin meets up with What he told me, and he told me, you guys don't know, but that's a character in like the first movie who was just kind of there, but she's a Bioroid if you didn't know. And he told me, tells Doonan that Briarios is finally kind of awake in the hospital, so Doonan goes to visit Briarios in the hospital to see, you know, what's the status.
Look, just because I'm a Bioroid, I am not gonna tell you my age.
So we learned that Briarios is getting a little bit better, but he's still not fully recovered. We also learned something way more important, that apparently lately there have been a lot of cyborg related terrorist attacks in the city. Ooh, spooky, what could that be? We also get to know this kind of different place that exists in the world, where also some people live, and this is Poseidon. And Poseidon is kind of this massive military and cyborg manufacturing factory, I guess. And they have been called out for a meeting with the kind of, I guess, I don't know, leader of Olympus, because most of the cyborg terrorist attacks come from Poseidon. So Olympus is a little bit like, you know, that's a little bit serious. But yeah, Olympus just reacts with bullying Olympus for not having a good military and fucks off, I guess. Then we also see this birthday of Hitomi, and everybody attends, and Doonan looks like absolute garbage. And then Briarios kind of like comes up in like the most goofy way as well. Now Briarios trips the fuck out because he sees Theseus. And well, Theseus is literally a clone of himself, so Briarios is like, what the hell, why am I seeing myself? And then Doonan gets kind of angry because she gets to learn that Briarios will not completely be back in the force because he's still kind of recovering. So she still has to, you know, kind of hold up with Theseus, her now new partner, like I said, which annoys the shit out of her. Then later we jump to this, I don't know, just kind of funny scene where, you know, normal humans, I guess, are, you know, trying their aim and shooting at dots, I guess, in the military force, and they're like kind of doing okay, and then the cyborgs show up and they have perfect aim, and I don't know, I really like that scene. I think it's really funny. And we also learned that kind of everybody now has this Connexus thing, which makes you see like really good and whatever, and is probably not important at all later. I do kind of, by the way, have to apologize if you hear a little bit of a screaming downstairs. I was being a little bit too loud, and then the kids in the basement started, you know, thinking they had a way to escape because somebody was home. So if you hear that noise, I am sorry. I will kill them later, don't worry about it. But yeah, anyway, to continue with the video, now there is this like massive conference going on, and it's kind of, yeah, I don't know the word, minister, I guess, of Olympus, with all the other countries that are kind of doing okay, but they all hate each other, which I think is funny. And Doonan kind of explains this plan that she wants to have like everybody's satellite connected or something, so they can have this, yeah, I don't know, like secured satellite peaceful world or whatever. It's really dumb. Okay, movie logic, who cares? In the meanwhile, Theseus and Doonan are kind of flirting with each other while they have to keep watch. Then Briarios and his partner hear of some kind of breach, so Briarios kind of heads out and goes to investigate, while his partner, cyborg-like, acts up. What the frick? Then a lot of vehicles start crashing towards the conference hall, and this kind of robot control suit starts attacking the conference hall, and they find out that it's a man who's been like infected with the Connexus or whatever, and therefore like kind of goes sicko mode and starts attacking the, I guess, conference building. And then all types of people who have a Connexus start going ape shit and kind of like zombies start attacking the conference place. But yeah, anyway, the partner of Briarios starts, you know, like I said, acting up and starts getting possessed, and then attacks Briarios, and people go fucking wild, and it's crazy. And in the meanwhile, by the way, even though there's literally multiple terrorist attacks going on at the building, the prime minister or minister whatever of Olympus, while everybody even in the conference room is like we gotta get out because there's literally a terrorist attack. It's like, guys, please chillax. The situation is under control. And she uses this as her advantage to kind of preach to them why the satellite should, you know, be... why everybody should support the plan, I guess, so there will be world peace. Which is just so unhinged. Because it's like what? It's like if Trump got assassinated by... or, you know, dodged the assassination bullet and then just stood up and started continuing his speech. The partner of Briario's then says this epic line about Hauken that I still don't remember, but it was also in the opening, if you guys did remember. And it was like, oh my god, connection, right? And then also this goofy moment happens where Briario sees a skull face just coming like out of the body of his friend being possessed. I don't know, that's just really funny to me. But yeah, Briario's kind of kills his partner and it's very sad. And then they realize that the pigeons were sending a frequency that made the people with the connectors and cyborgs go crazy. And yes, these are indeed robot pigeons.
This thing's a robot. The frequency's coming from the doves.
If you're wondering, I already know. If you thought it, I've been new.
But yeah, I guess the whole Olympus thing kind of backfired because the minister of Olympus then has another meeting with Poseidon and they are like,
would you be interested in a trade agreement with England?
Because they're like, oh, your military is weak, do you want something? And Olympus is like, no, because we're so peaceful. And now because of the massive terrorist attack, they're like, a little bit. And I don't know, that's kind of funny. That kind of evil looking girl of Poseidon learns that the cyborgs keep saying something about Hauken, and like the evil girl of Poseidon is like, oh shit, I know that something is definitely up. Then we also move back to Briario's and he's kind of like training or whatever, and then Theseus is like, I can do better, and he kind of challenges him, and they have this epic fight scene.
Anything happens to her, I hold you responsible.
But yeah, Briario's, Theseus, I still don't know, but yeah, and Dunan go to the city to kind of become closer because they kind of all a little bit hate each other, but not really.
So,
Did you pray today? Did you pray today?
And also, guys, just a question for you guys. Let me know, what do you guys think? Okay, are you a Theseus fanboy or are you a Briario's fanboy? Which side are you on? Let me know in the comments. And while they are in the city, we also see that Olympus has now completed their satellite plan, because I guess after the terrorist attack, everybody was like, all right, peace it is, guys. So we get this like epic memorial thing. And then everything goes apeshit because Briario starts going schizo. And we're like, oh no, is Briario's gonna go evil? Oh no. And he gets this epic moment.
Be alone!
Briario starts turning like evil Super Sigma or whatever, and like runs up towards this terminal and starts chipping in. And then the most funny scene happens in the movie.
Part of a connexus. Take a look at this. I put a connexus on this lab rat. Now watch what happens when I transmit the same frequency from one of the robotic doves to this rat.
But yeah, this is where the characters finally then realize that, you know, the people with the connexus are evil and the cyborgs are controlled and whatever. Like, wow, never see that coming. And they also find out, which is a lot more important, that the doctor worked for Poseidon, apparently, for a lab called Hauken. What the frick? What the frick? Probably important. And while Briario's realizes this, he's like, oh my god, I have to break free, you know, I have to do something because this guy is, you know, evil and I have to stop him.
Poseidon. It's homie. Cover your ears and get back.
Briario's nose!
Daddy, chill.
But yeah, Briarios escapes, and then the police force is like, oh my god, we have to stop Briarios because they think he just went evil. And Doonan can't help, which makes a lot of sense because, you know, they're kind of dating and the police force doesn't want, you know, one very one-sided cop. So she has to stay still, I guess, in her spot. But yeah, Briarios goes to the doctor and confronts him. And the doctor is then all like, nanomachine, son. And we realize that the doctor used Briarios to hack and crash the satellite system. And then the doctor gives his whole like little racist evil speech or whatever.
Don't fuck with me!
Oh, I've already done that. Now onto the others.
Literally kills himself.
My cyborg accomplice.
Kessler, don't do it!
We will all become one.
Hey, yo, chat! He killed himself!
Guys, drop a like for the cat in the background right now. She's so cute. The cops think, you know, that Briarios killed the doctor when they like run in. So Briarios is like, no! And then he, you know, goes in the shell moment, jumps out the window. And Doonan is like, fuck it, I'm gonna go find Briarios. And then Doonan gets this like random sample to go save Briarios, which is supposed to cure his nanomachines. And it's so funny. She just gets this like super randomly from some guy from like the first movie. And we're just, I guess, supposed to accept that, the plot just like, here's how to save it. It just happened out of nowhere and has no plot development. But that's just how awesome these movies are. But yeah, Theseus, who was kind of in the hospital, finds Briarios first, and Briarios shows his dark side. And they have this like epic brawl, and then Doonan shows up and saves Briarios from the nanomachines. But yeah, it's all kind of too late because the satellite evil plan goes into pursuit. And then everybody with a Connexus starts, you know, going zombie mode and starts attacking everybody in the city, and riots go crazy and whatever. But yeah, then we get like the final lore explanation that apparently, which is just like, okay, but Halcyon was apparently led by Alexa and the other doctor. And they were people who would help people from the war with head trauma, but they got like obsessed with like the mind and trying to control it, and they also made the Connexus, which like makes everything like a lot of sense. And then like the most weirdest ending happens. Like they go into this mecha suits, which is normal for like every Appleseed video, so don't worry about that. But then they have like this Gundam fight in like this Netsphere cube thing where I guess the Halcyon labs were or something. And there's this like evil Medusa or something. I've seen enough hentai to know where this is going. But yeah, eventually they defeat Halcyon and they save the world. And the movie ends with like a super hard going line.
You're a good partner, Doonan.
I'll always protect you, even if the world comes to an end. Somebody told me that once.
He must have been a smart guy.
He's alright.
You okay? Yeah, I'm alright. He was her partner first. She'll have him, and I'll find my own girl.
Whatever. Maybe they'll make one for you.
So yeah, this video is taking way longer than I anticipated, but yeah, now you at least get to see how nice this camera looks, a little bit at least. I'm still kind of experimenting, but you know, look at this lighting. Oh my god, isn't it crazy? But this is still gonna take like 5 hours, so eventually it'll just get dark again. But we gotta appreciate the little things. Anyway, so let's get into Appleseed Alpha. And wait, what? Hold on. Appleseed 70? What? Alright, that's not that bad. Huh, okay. So, let's just say that the new characters look a little bit more interesting. What the fuck? Why did they make the characters so fucking sexy, bro? Like, already in the movie before this, like, they already look kind of handsome, right? But Jesus Christ, keep it away from the women. I'm here for the guys. What the fuck? And can I just say, I really appreciate body positivity. Alright, I'm all for it. But what the fuck is Dunan wearing? Like, Jesus Christ. So how the story opens is that Briarios and Dunan are on a train to kind of return a vaccine to a crime boss called Two Horns. And they have some debt with Two Horns, so they do missions for him. But on that train they get attacked by a squad of goons.
You wouldn't shoot an unarmed girl, would you? Amateur.
And the vaccine gets at least kind of damaged so hard that it can't be used anymore. So they go back to Two Horns with open hands, I guess, and Two Horns is obviously very pissed off. So Two Horns sends them to do another mission, but first Briarios has to go to Matthews, an engineer, to kind of get fixed up. Briarios is kind of having some problems with his power cell recently, but Matthews say that he can't really do anything about it because it's too complicated and he doesn't have the resources.
Get well, present.
Huh? Watch it, Chief.
What's your problem? Pins in it.
Yeah, the
And
pins
hello,
in it.
body
None
armor.
of us would die for him.
So for their new mission, Briarios and Dunan go to this abandoned field filled with kind of landmine mecha drones or whatever. But before they can do anything, they see a car approaching with 3 thugs in it that Briarios scans with his mind scanner, and also 2 other individuals that he doesn't really understand. So Briarios and Dunan go to help them and the thugs get killed, and they realize that the 2 people who were in the car were being held hostage by the thugs, and they realize that the 2 people in the car come from a place way beyond this place. And the 2 people, one is a man called Olslow, I think, Olsen or something. No, I think it's Olsen. He's called Olsen, and the girl is called Iris. Briarios asks them why they are here, and they say to clean up the world or something and to save the war or whatever, I forgot, but they're just like hippies basically, but they're from a very rich place. And Olsen sees that Briarios is kind of damaged, so Olsen wants to help Briarios because that's the least he can do for Briarios and Dunan, saving their lives. So he goes to investigate Briarios' body and obviously fix it because he's way smarter than this random Matthews guy. And Briarios kind of gets leveled up. But before they can talk more, Briarios scans another group of individuals coming, but these ones are way more dangerous and they both don't know who they are. So they escape.
Oh, Chica, I miss you. I'm about to fuck you, Chica. Oh, shit.
So we meet the villains of the story, the Goon Squad, and let me just give a character analysis. First up, we got a Halo Reach character, and next up, we also got another Halo Reach character, and last, we got a Halo. When they have escaped, Dunan also tells Briarios that she thinks it's a little bit weird that Matthew couldn't fix Briarios, but the Olsen guy could just instantly do it, even though Matthews is an engineer. And this is never brought up into the entire movie ever again. Appleseed has a tendency to just either fix plot devices instantly or just give random clues that literally leave nothing or go nowhere. So yeah, I don't know that. So the evil Goon Squad meets up with Two Horns, and we learn that the main leader of the Goon Squad is called Talus. And Talos asks Two Horn if he knows something about a girl that has been kidnapped or whatever. Now Two Horn thinks that Talos is talking about Dunan from Briario's, so he's like, no, I don't know, I don't think so. And then Talos still doesn't trust Two Horn, so he's like, I'ma head out.
I'm about to bomb this whole motherfucking thing.
And we think that Two Horn is dead, but obviously he isn't.
Come on.
No! Stop! You should rest. I hope he comes back soon. I love it when we play doctor.
Now, Dunan tries to talk to Iris and be a little bit nice because she realizes that Iris is, you know, looks like a 12-year-old basically. And in the meanwhile, Olsen kind of explains their whole plan because apparently Talos, the evil goon guy, is looking for Iris to activate this super death machine, while Iris is meant to destroy this super death machine. So I guess you could say the MacGuffin. I don't know if that counts as a MacGuffin, but the whole point of the story is like finding the evil weapon, right? And at the same time, Talos wants Iris because he needs Iris to open it. Here we also learn that Olsen and Iris are both from Olympus, which activates like neuron activation Dunan, who is like, oh my god, Olympus, that's awesome, because she wants to go back to Olympus. And this is also the point where I don't really know if the third movie is really connected, because I thought that you had like the original old one and then you have the new tree, but the newest movie doesn't really have that much of a connection with the first two. Like the second and the first one, like it's really obvious that they're like, that's a sequel, right? But the third one, I don't know, because it also feels like they never have even been to Olympus or something. It feels kind of half remake, half sequel or something. I don't really know, but in any case, it still belongs to the trilogy, so who cares? So they end up in like this abandoned city or whatever that is the city of Two Horns, but just other district or whatever. And they try to get some sleep, but then Briario's head scans again, and he sees that Two Horns is coming from about 5 kilometers away. And can I just say that Two Horns is such an amazing character, and I'll explain later in my, you know, the whole point of this video why I like this saga and whatever. But I don't know, I just even the voice actor of Two Horns really, you know, he sounds like he's having a lot of fun with the role.
Yeah, that's them all right. Why don't you give him a big fat hello?
Two Horns, okay. Bless in the chat for Two Horns. He's an awesome character. But anyway, Two Horns comes up in like the most villain fashion.
He means business.
They'll help you. I know it.
I know. But you're gonna survive this.
Of course I am. I hear I'm an optimist.
And he just fucking shoots like the whole buildings or whatever. So Briario's kind of head jumps or whatever, and all this action happens. You know, the group gets split up and Dunan gets attacked by these thugs, and Olsen sees this, so Olsen tries to help Dunan, but then Two Horns realizes that he has a shot of killing Briario, so he sends his goons back. And while all this is happening, you have Iris, you know, being locked away in a room because she has to be protected or whatever. And Iris is like, no, I have to be good or whatever. So she grabs a grenade and fucking Hadouken jumps out of the room and just throws a grenade into the tank where Two Horns is in, and Two Horns gets blown the fuck up.
Wait, is that the girl? No.
And I don't know, this is a very fun sequence. I can't really explain that. You just have to see the movie. But it was just an awesome action sequence. And guys, I swear to God, Two Horns is now really dead. I promise. Then they celebrate their victory of like, oh my god, we defeated Two Horns. And then just super randomly, Iris and Olsen get kidnapped by Talos just to come and Appleseed W. And you know, Briarios and Dunan are too late to save them, so they go into this car and they track Olsen, because I don't know what the fuck is happening with all the tracking in this movie that is also never in the first movies. Briarios now can just track people or something. I don't know what's up with that. He's a robot man, so fair, but yeah. Anyway, and Talos knows that there is like a map blueprint or whatever that Olsen or Iris has in their head, so they don't really know where the weapon is, but at the same time they know where the weapon is. Oh, I'm pretty sure Iris did know, and that's why they're heading towards the weapon. But yeah, something confusing like that. And Talos is like, Iris, do you know where the weapon is? And Iris is like, no, I'm not gonna tell you. And because she's kind of human, but also not, I don't know, but for some reason he can't do anything with her, so he's like, ah. And then Olsen is like, I also don't know where the weapon is. And he's like, well, you're a cyborg, so he just fucking hacks or something, Olsen, and then he has the info, and then he says a banger line.
What you want, please don't kill him.
People never get what they want. You'll find that out soon enough.
You're wrong, Talos.
Perhaps I am wrong. Doesn't matter.
And then we jump back to Two Horns, who, what the hell, he survived? How did that happen? He's not the most goofy villain ever that is not in a kid-rated movie. That's crazy. And Two Horns is all like, you know, roar, I want my revenge or whatever. And I don't fucking know, alright? Well, I don't know. Goofy movie. So, like, if you remembered, if you locked the fuck in and focused, you knew that they were tracking Olsen, right? But Olsen got kicked out of the airplane. So they keep tracking Olsen, and then they find Olsen's body, and Briarios and Dunan get kind of a, I don't know what you call it, like, how do you call it? Like a midlife crisis, but then in 1 second, like a big, oh my god, everything was for nothing or moment or whatever. But then they realize, like, to not give up hope. And obviously when they say that, they find that Olsen had his map thing that Talos was hacking in his head, a chip or something, a copy of that in his hand. So Briarios drops that shit in his head and chips in, and then they know where the weapon bunker is. So it's kind of a who's gonna get first to the bunker, but obviously Talos gets first because they're in a fucking plane, but who cares, I guess. And then they arrive at the bunker. But yeah, then Talos kind of shares his whole master plan of like, I want to use this weapon to get order around the world or whatever, just movie villain shit. And Iris, who is from Olympus, obviously is like, no, that's bad, we want to destroy it. Talos drops another banger line.
People love war. They make stories about it. They create larger than life heroes because of it. It's human nature to romanticize war.
But yeah, Dunan and Briarios enter the bunker, and some fighting pursuits.
Talos, have her! They're bringing out the birds!
We're gonna lose her!
Right, you recycle smart car. I'll tell you what I want. I want the same thing you want.
3 eyes, and you still can't see she doesn't like you.
Oh, a fatty boy!
There's nothing we can do for
Go! I got this!
Look! Yes, you're the future.
Too late. She's already dead.
No, but you are.
Now, when Talos activates this weapon, they realize that it's a massive mech that we saw in the first movie, or well, I did.
Holy shit!
And maybe you did too if you were cool, because it's not in this video. But yeah, for like those who know, you're like, hey, I've seen that before. But yeah, the mech sadly has a mind of its own, so Talos and Iris are kind of trapped inside the mech, and Talos is like, why can't I control it? And she's like, you're already too late. Or that's what Iris is saying, and they realize they're kind of cooked. Then Dunan, Two Horns, and Briarios team up with a mech and a car to kind of drive after the mech while it's kind of escaping. And Dunan manages to jump onto the mech, and Briarios has this massive plan of, I think it's with a grenade or something, to kind of snipe the grenade in the mech and blow it the fuck up. So that's kind of the plan, while Dunan tries to save Iris. But Iris kind of realizes that, you know, she's a kamikaze bioroid or whatever, and that her whole purpose is to activate or destroy the weapon by blowing herself the fuck up, which is kind of an interesting purpose to have, I guess, as he just realizes it. But yeah, Dunan kills Talos like quite easily or whatever, and Talos kind of tries, like the corpse tries to stop them, but it doesn't work. And then Iris kind of closes the door on Talos's body to finally kill off Talos, but then they're kind of trapped. But yeah, and then Iris is to Dunan like, oh, the only way to blow up this thing is to sacrifice myself or something like that, because if they blow up the monster or the mecha, whatever you call it, it will just regenerate the shield, so someone manually has to be in the room to deactivate the shields or whatever. So Iris sacrifices herself, throws Dunan the fuck out, and then Briarios is like, are you guys free? And Iris lies and tells yeah, and then Briarios blows the mech up basically. But yeah, at least the day is safe now, so that's a epic thing. Just like every movie, it's kind of done dryly, although I think the ending in this movie is actually way better than the first two, because the second two was just super random, and this ending is just that Briarios and Dunan also find this other chip that has the map of Olympus, or like a map leading to Olympus. So Dunan and Briarios realize that they can finally go back, or discover, depending on if this is a remake or a sequel, I still do not know, Olympus. So they grab a car, get the map, they say goodbye to Two Horns and Matthew, and they drive off into the sunset, and the movie ends. Oh wow, you're still here. Okay. I did not expect that. I'm gonna try to make this part at like hopefully not that much more than 10 minutes. I'll try. I'm a big yapper, as you can see by the time we're already spent during this video, but I'm gonna try to do my best why I think this is a great saga, and then more specifically the last two movies. I think I can kind of sum up in 3 reasons why I think this saga, and then more specifically the last 2 movies, are fantastic. And I think those 3 things are aesthetics, stereotypical, and art development. Now I'm gonna start with aesthetics. So originally I didn't really want to use the word aesthetic, because oh my god, is it so overused online, like Jesus Christ. But I think it kind of works in a funny way here, because I think most people, when they think about aesthetics, they think about certain vibes that feel artistic in a way. I think that's even literally the term. So they think of like great shots or a great overall OST tone that fits very well with the movie. Like you would say that Undertale has a very interesting aesthetic. But one of the reasons why I really, really like Appleseed is simply because of that vibe. Because, and I'll get to stereotypes a little bit later, but this movie fits that dumb action movie corniness with like animations or whatever so well. And like, it's almost like when you watch the movies, you kind of get reminded of other movies you watched. And like, this kind of happens all the time when you watch movies, but this movie, it's insane. Like, you already see, I think, the memes that I used in this video and like the references I made already kind of tells you that, yeah, this movie kind of takes a lot of stuff, or not necessarily takes, but it uses a lot of the same aspects that other dumb stories use. And it just always feels nice. I think a great, well, let's just give an example of like the second movie, right? You have Talos, who is like the most stereotypical dumbass villain ever. Super edgy, doesn't make any sense, dies dryly. Some arc with like trying to do the villain thing and then actually doing it, but what the hell, it backfires. And it's perfect. He also has like a goon squad with two goons who have no character. Also, like a lot of movies, you know. And I know it's a weird thing to say that why you like certain types of movies is because they, look like other certain types of movies. But I think what this movie does so great is that it takes that vibe and put it to the limit. Like, I mean, I think it knows that it's stereotypical, but it enjoys it and puts the best out of it. And I think a great character to compare that with is Two Horns, and that's why I love Two Horns. Two Horns is kind of the dumb comedic relief villain type. That's not really that much in many movies, but kind of the dumb comedic relief, right? But like I said, that in the voice actor party had so much fun with this movie, and that's what this movie is. It just makes it so fun because you don't have to think, because everything that happens in the movie is not that original, and except for some things, but I'll get into that later. And it just takes so much into that aesthetic of like a 90s like action anime adventure movie, and it does it so well. And that's, I think, why I love this movie so much. And I already realized that I basically explained the second part as well with stereotypes or whatever. So I guess aesthetic and stereotypes kind of go hand in hand. But I think it's like I said, it's such a good movie to turn your brain off. Now, the last two things I will say about the art and the stereotypes are two things. First off is the music. God, do I love the OST. The OST is very, I wouldn't always say good, because sometimes it's literally just dubstep. But the OST as well just blends so well with the movie. It reminds me a lot, like I said, with 90s. Well, I don't know if this movie comes from the 90s, but Equilibrium. I don't know if you guys know it, but it's a great movie. It starts, I think it's Christian Bale. And it's just the movie is not really that important. It has some philosophical ideas, but they're like, everybody kind of knows them. And it's not a complicated movie, but it's just, it owns itself so well. And I think that's a very good word I could use for Appleseed. The music of Equilibrium is so much the same as Appleseed. I think The Matrix also kind of has that same vibe, but it's such just raw dogging action with stupid rock. And hot babes and over buff men, and that shit is just so great. I forgot what the second thing was that I was trying to say, but I think also another thing that I really like is that although that kind of has to do with the art development, but I think it's okay, I can kind of put those two apart. But I think what this movie also does very well is that it feels so, like I said, it's like with the stereotypes or whatever, it feels a lot the same, but at the same time, and this is gonna sound so dumb, it's also so not connected to any movie I've seen at all at the same time. I know that sounds so dumb, but what I mean with that, it's not necessarily that the movie feels timeless, but it feels so separated from like the fact that I've never heard anybody talk to this movie, to the fact that the art looks very different. And again, I will talk a little bit about the art development later, why I like that as well. But the movie feels so bottled, I guess, from the rest of the world, and yet it has so much of the same vibes as the rest of the world. And that makes this movie so memorable. Like, I think for my whole life, when I think of wacky movies, I will remember this saga, because it's just so weird in a way, but yet so basic. And I think that's the best way I could describe this movie. But I'll get into my third point, why I also think that this movie is so great. And that isn't necessarily because of the movie, like, I don't think it's that intentional, is the art style. The art style of these movies are so interesting in my opinion. Not necessarily because they look good, not that the last movie looks that good anymore. But I want to say two things about this. First is when the last movie came out, it was in 2014. I remember seeing this movie and I saw that art style and was like, holy moly, how are they gonna, keep the animation and realism apart because it looks so real. And now when you watch these movies or watch the last movie, you're like, you're like it looks like a fucking video game. And I think to my second point, that is like the art development, whatever, is that I think you guys see it in the video, but also the first movie as well. But the second and the third movie with art style are so different in the fact that they feel like they're the iconic art style of that age. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. And it's not just simply the art, also how like lines and like it's not just simply the art, but also like weird shit like the explosions, to put it very specific, the sound effects, the way that people move. It feels so much like that time frame, and that kind of leads me back to like it's a lot like movies, other movies that are dumb action 90s movie, whatever. But I think here it's so interesting because if you look at Appleseed and you look at Alpha, I don't really have examples off the top of my head. Weirdly, sometimes I got remembered by Metal Gear Rising, which is very weird because it's not very much the same aesthetic. But when you watch it, and I think you just have to watch it for yourself with this point, it just feels so much like those specific art styles in those times. And that's why I also kind of like the movie is different and weirdly kind of timeless. Like, it's age, but it feels so much like it kind of bottles that whole art in that, yeah, not necessarily century, but time frame in that movie. So it's so much fun to see. Like, I had such a joy watching the 2014 one and seeing that like VHS video game. Like, I think I don't, I forgot the name, but there was also this Netflix anime. I'll edit it in, but there was this Netflix anime movie, I think, that also looks very hyper realistic. I think it's a little bit younger than the 2014 Appleseed movie, but it also has that same style. And I don't know, that's just it. This movie feels. I think I'll end my review and my conclusion. This movie feels like a celebration of common tropes in cinema. Bam, that's a banger line. There you go. That's why I like this movie so much. And especially as a movie guy, I enjoy it so much. To the dumb, boring dialogue story that doesn't make any sense, to the stupid plot devices, to the one-sheet character villains, to the super cool and interesting art style that was cool and interesting 30 years ago and 10 years ago and 50 years ago. Well, not 50, that's a little bit too late, but a little bit too old. And I just love that. And also, I like to say, I know this kind of like why I enjoyed sounds like I'm kind of shitting on the movie, which I guess I am. But there's also still a lot of great things that put this movie apart, because I like to say that this movie takes a lot of elements of other movies, but it does create something of its own. Like I said, it's the same as every other movie, and at the same time, it feels so different. Like, you have that like buff guy and cute girl cop movie trope, and this movie does that again, but it kind of bounces around it a lot and doesn't really follow the stereotype like perfect, but the stereotype is there, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I know that in every of my movie reviews, I always have some dumb excuse why what I'm yapping doesn't make any sense. And now I'll say it again, just watch the movies, because it's very hard to explain why the stereotype. I tried to put as many stereotypes in this video as I could that are in the movie, to show you guys, like, you see what I'm getting at. But yeah, I think this is just a saga that is so good and for some reason not remembered at all. Maybe because it's so followed to the stereotypes, but it is iconic in a way. But I love these movies, man. They're so awesome. If you see an action figure in the cover, of a few weeks in my room, it makes perfect sense, because I don't know, I had such a good time. And also, I like to end this video with a very important thing, that you can have this good time as well. Because I don't think I mentioned it in this video, or I hinted at it or whatever. Maybe I did, but just for clarity, you can watch 2 of these movies just on YouTube. They're just on YouTube. I don't know why they are, but I think the last one and the first one are on YouTube. And I don't mean the 1999 or whatever, but the one of 1988. But I mean the first one of the saga, that I found quite boring, but maybe you'll like, because that's also a very specific art style that you see, which is awesome. But yeah, and the third one is also watchable, like I said, on YouTube. The second one I couldn't find, the Ex Machina one. I think there's like playlists or whatever, so it's more sketchy. So I don't know how you guys would watch it, but you can watch these movies like individually. You don't. It's kind of connected, but even I didn't really think about the third one kind of being connected, but also not really. So you can just watch these movies and enjoy that art style, and I think that's amazing. But anyway, that was the video. Holy moly, this video took so long to make. Not that long, but I also kind of procrastinated. But I think it totally took me 3 days, which doesn't sound as much, but the hours of those days were a lot, especially because yesterday I had to work a lot. So it was a lot of work to make this video, and I think you could also see that from the time frame. So I'm gonna be a cringy YouTuber and say, if you like this video, comment or like it. If you don't, dislike it. I don't know, but yeah, it will mean a lot. And I hope you guys like this video. Hopefully, and I think in the come of, I don't know why I keep saying in the come of, what the frick. But I think in 4 or 5 days I will have another upload about Lucifer. So a heads up, and that video will hopefully only be 10 minutes, so I can make it in like a night. But yeah, so stay tuned for that, and it's good to be back. So I'll see you guys next time.